Welcome back to Crime Scene 24/7. To our returning subscribers, thank you for always engaging. Your likes, comments, and shares keeps us motivated. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our chilling crime scenes. Here we dig deep, we investigate hard, and we bring you stories the mainstream left unsaid. So encourage us by engaging in our videos. Subscribe if you haven't, like, comment, and share. And it began with a knock on the door at 8:32 p.m. on Tuesday, October 28, 2025. A routine-looking welfare check at an apartment in the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California, summoned deputies from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. What they found turned a quiet evening into an unthinkable tragedy. Inside that small apartment, they discovered the body of a young boy, 7 years old, identified only as Isaiah H., inside a freezer. Today we tell the story of Destiny Harrison, age 25, the boy's mother, Daniel Monzon, age 25, the father, and Ana Carcamo, age 46, the paternal grandmother, each now in custody, each accused of crimes no parent should ever face. They were booked on charges including murder, torture, child abuse resulting in death, and child cruelty. In these few minutes, we will unfold the timeline. The day Isaiah died, how the authorities were alerted, the state of the home where 3 other children, ages 16, 13, and 9 months, were found and taken into protective custody. We will hear from neighbors grieving on the sidewalk, candles and stuffed animals laid in memory of a boy who should have known safety and love. And we will present what the prosecutors allege, that those entrusted to protect Isaiah instead failed him in the worst way. Because in the end, we ask, what calls to authorities? What unanswered signs? And how will a community heal when a child's life was cut short inside what should have been a home? This is that story, and this is how it unfolded. In the hours following the call, the hallways of the apartment complex in the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California, echoed with the arrival of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. The deputies arrived shortly after 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 28, 2025, responding to a welfare check prompted by the report of a child in distress. Upon entering the apartment, they encountered the lifeless body of 7-year-old Isaiah H., discovered inside a freezer. His mother, 25-year-old Destiny Harrison, his father, 25-year-old Daniel Monzon, and his paternal grandmother, 46-year-old Ana Carcamo, were immediately detained at the scene. Inside the home, 3 other children were present: a teenager aged 16, another aged 13, and an infant of approximately 9 months. All were placed into protective custody by the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services as the investigation unfolded. Over the following days, prosecutors brought formal charges. Destiny Harrison, Daniel Monzon, and Ana Carcamo were each charged with murder, torture, and child abuse resulting in death. Monzon and Carcamo also faced additional counts as accessories after the fact. Bail for each was set at $2 million. Investigators explained that Isaiah's death is believed to have occurred early on October 24, 2025, though his body was not recovered until 4 days later on October 28 during the welfare check. The district attorney's office made clear that the charges reflect allegations of long-term abuse rather than a single moment of tragic misfortune. The horrific abuse that Isaiah endured is made even worse by the fact that, as alleged, it was at the hands of the people who were meant to love and protect him, they stated. As the case moves toward arraignment at the Compton courthouse, community members in Lynwood have gathered in vigil, candles lit, toys laid out, tearful faces asking in silence how a little boy's safe haven became the scene of his undoing. State crime scene teams have sealed the apartment, and detectives from the Sheriff's Homicide Bureau continue to canvass neighbors, examine the freezer, and retrieve forensic evidence. Those with information have been urged to contact the Bureau at 323-890-5500. In the days that followed the discovery, investigators with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office painstakingly reconstructed the final hours of 7-year-old Isaiah H., According to the charging documents, his injuries were the result of what prosecutors characterized as months of abuse at the hands of his mother, Destiny Harrison, his father, Daniel Monzon, and his paternal grandmother, Ana Carcamo. In the complaint, prosecutors allege that Isaiah succumbed to his injuries early on October 24, 2025, days before deputies conducted a welfare check at the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California, on the evening of October 28. Two separate forensic logs show deputies arrived at approximately 8:32 p.m. that night after a resident called in concerns about a child. The investigators say the victim's body was found in a freezer tucked away in the apartment. According to statements from the DA's office, the timeline suggests the abuse began as early as April 2025 and escalated until Isaiah's death. One charge notes that the abuse was willful harm, resulting in death. The defendants, Harrison, Monzon, and Carcamo, were each booked on charges of murder, torture, and child abuse resulting in death. In addition, Monzon and Carcamo face counts as accessories after the fact. Investigators noted that while the victim's age is recorded as 7, some documents filed by the DA's office reference the victim as 8, due to rounding or delayed birth record verification. Meanwhile, bail was set at $2 million for each defendant, and if convicted, they face sentences of 32 years to life. Across the hallway from that apartment, neighbors continue to grapple with shock and sorrow. On the night following the arrests, local residents set out candles, stuffed toys, and flowers near the building. A 16-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 9-month-old infant, all siblings of Isaiah, were taken into protective custody by the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services. In late October 2025, the Office of the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office issued a formal news release naming case number 25CM-CF01879 and outlining several key details of the allegations against Destiny Luckie Harrison, Daniel Alberto Monzon, and Ana Carcamo Zarceno. They were charged each with 1 felony count of murder, torture, and child abuse resulting in death, including an allegation of willful harm resulting in death. Monzon and Carcamo also face additional counts of being accessories after the fact. According to the complaint, the boy, identified as Isaiah H. and described as believed to be 8 years old at the time of his death, had allegedly suffered abuse over a long period of time, beginning as early as April 2025. He succumbed to his injuries on October 24, 2025, and his body was discovered 4 days later during a welfare check in the Lynwood apartment. Investigators said the welfare check was triggered by a call from a resident of the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California, who reported a concern for a child in the residence. Deputies arrived shortly after 8:30 p.m. on October 28th. Paramedics from the Los Angeles County Fire Department pronounced Isaiah dead at the scene. In the release, District Attorney Nathan J. Hochman remarked that the alleged abuse is made even worse by the fact that it was at the hands of the people who were meant to love and protect him. The case is being handled by the Family Violence Division's Complex Child Abuse Section, supervised by Assistant Head Deputy DA Jonathan Hatami and Deputy DA Mackenzie Tamori. Law enforcement officials continue to appeal to the public. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau is asking anyone with information to call 323-892-5500. As the legal proceedings move forward, the charges stand as grave and detailed, and the full scope of what transpired in that apartment remains under investigation in court and in forensics. In the following days, the search for clarity extended beyond the initial arrests. The 3 remaining children, ages 16, 13, and 9 months, who had been removed from the Lynwood residence, began receiving medical examinations and trauma assessments as the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services worked to determine their immediate care and long-term placement. Court filings revealed that despite efforts by investigators, there were no school records for the boy, Isaiah H., believed to be 8 years old. Debate arose around whether Isaiah had ever been enrolled in school or appeared in the public system at all, raising questions about oversight and accountability. Meanwhile, in the courtroom at the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office's press conference on October 31, 2025, lead prosecutor Nathan J. Hochman emphasized that the complexity of the case spans both murder and torture charges, reflecting alleged long-term abuse rather than a momentary act. During arraignment, Mother Destiny Luckie Harrison appeared inside court covering her face. Father Daniel Alberto Monzon refused to appear. Grandmother Ana Carcamo Zarceno cited illness and did not attend. Forensic teams remained on site at the apartment complex on Euclid Avenue, collecting freezer interior samples, gathering surveillance, and interviewing neighbors who reported hearing odd sounds but said they never called authorities. Investigators cited these neighborhood reports as potentially critical in piecing together the timeline. As the sub-probe into social services and school enrollment began, community advocates demanded answers about how a child believed to be 8 years old could have gone missing from registries without intervention. Members of the community held vigils and eventually formed a neighborhood watch group to press for better monitoring of at-risk families. In the legal arena, the gravity of the charges against Destiny Luckie Harrison, Daniel Alberto Monzon, and Ana Carcamo Zarceno has begun to crystallize. A formal press release from the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, dated October 31, 2025, unambiguously states that all three adults face one felony count each of murder, torture, and child abuse resulting in death, with allegations that they caused willful harm resulting in death. Monzon and Zarceno also face additional counts of being accessories after the fact. As the courtroom proceedings commenced, details emerged that underscored the complexity of the case. The victim, identified as Isaiah H., believed to be 8 years old, is alleged to have died early on October 24, 2025, his body discovered 4 days later in a freezer filled with ice. The arraignment occurred at the Compton courthouse, where only Harrison appeared, visibly shielding her face from media cameras. Monzon reportedly refused to appear, and Zarceno cited illness. Legal analysts note that the inclusion of torture and willful harm resulting in death in the charges elevates this beyond a tragic death to an alleged pattern of abuse. The maximum sentence for each of the defendants, 32 years to life in state prison if convicted as charged. Behind the scenes of the courtroom, investigators continue to expand the probe. The case has been assigned to the Family Violence Division's Complex Child Abuse Section. Forensics teams are working to match injury patterns, review physical evidence retrieved from the apartment in the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue, and link those findings to the long-term abuse timeline referenced by prosecutors. In the hours after the arrests, a somber hush settled over the apartment complex on the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California. Investigators with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office sifted through the scene methodically, photographing interior damage, the ice-filled freezer and nearby linen closets, and gathering statements from neighbors who had once waved at the little boy as he left for school or played quietly in the hallway. They also followed up on a tip line call made by a concerned resident just after 8:30 p.m. on October 28, 2025. That call triggered the welfare check where the body of 7-year-old Isaiah H. was found. Inside the home, detectives discovered evidence that matched what prosecutors described as the over a long period of time abuse. According to the charging documents, investigators found what they considered wounds consistent with repetitive trauma, though the full autopsy results are pending. Simultaneously, child welfare specialists from the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services began coordinated interviews with the 3 surviving children, a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-month-old infant. Within this process, investigators worked through establishing guardianship, medical evaluations, and trauma-informed care plans for the siblings removed from the home. Behind the scenes, defense attorneys for the arrested adults, 25-year-old mother Destiny Luckie Harrison, 25-year-old father Daniel Alberto Monzon, and 46-year-old paternal grandmother Ana Carcamo Zarceno, have quietly begun requesting access to all forensic records and seeking independent psychological evaluations. The court docket reveals motions to challenge the admissibility of certain statements and to review chain of custody logs pertaining to the scene evidence. Meanwhile, local community advocacy groups in Lynwood have started calling for enhanced child welfare oversight, citing this tragedy as a potential near failure of the system. These groups have urged the county board to review case tracking algorithms, school enrollment anomalies, and cross-agency notifications, especially in cases where children appear absent from public records or schooling. As preparations for trial advance, the prosecution has laid out an initial roadmap for how it intends to present its case against Destiny Luckie Harrison, 25, Daniel Alberto Monzon, 25, and Ana Carcamo Zarceno, 46, in the death of 8-year-old Isaiah H. Identification partial. The upcoming evidentiary hearing will open with testimony from forensic pathologists and child abuse experts who will explain the relationship between the injuries found and the timeline that the district attorney's office alleges began in April 2025. Investigators have flagged surveillance video from the apartment complex on the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, plus neighbor interviews and emergency call logs as key evidentiary targets. They are seeking to establish what the boy's condition was in the weeks prior to his death, and whether any local services, including schooling or welfare checks, had documented concerns. According to court filings, no public school enrollment for Isaiah could be found. On the defense side, lawyers for Harrison, Monzon, and Zarceno have filed motions to obtain full disclosure of forensic records, autopsy data, and chain of custody logs for the freezer scene evidence. While specific defense arguments remain closely held, sources indicate they plan to challenge the sufficiency of evidence linking each adult to the allegedly prolonged series of abuses and will emphasize the absence of a single definitive moment of death witnessed by law enforcement. The prosecution's strategy also includes presenting the condition of the freezer and interior of the apartment as physical evidence of concealment of the body, an element prosecutors believe supports the serious charges of murder and torture. As stated by the district attorney's office, the body was discovered days after the internal injuries are alleged to have brought about Isaiah's death. Meanwhile, the advocacy community in Lynwood and surrounding regions is actively monitoring the case, calling especially for reforms in how children who are absent from school records are tracked. The case may serve as a catalyst for policy reviews within the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services. The court calendar now sets in motion a sequence of procedural steps that will shape the adjudication of this case. Within days of the formal charges being filed, the prosecution lodged additional discovery requests to the defense for video evidence, incident logs, and forensic pathology findings. In one motion, the defense requested access to any surveillance footage from the apartment building and surrounding complex on the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood for the period from April through October 2025, citing the prosecution's allegations of long-term abuse during that window. At the same time, the court-assigned judge scheduled a pre-trial hearing to assess motions regarding the admissibility of expert testimony on child torture injury patterns. Meanwhile, the prosecution has indicated it will call as witnesses neighbors who lived in the immediate vicinity of the apartment, some of whom reported hearing or seeing activity around the home in recent months. These neighborhood accounts will be used to corroborate physical evidence retrieved from the scene, including the freezer where Isaiah H., then believed to be approximately 7 years old, was discovered on October 28, 2025. At the same time, forensic experts are preparing detailed reports on the freezer unit itself, its internal temperature logs, ice accumulation, possible internal damage or tampering, to help determine how long the body remained inside. The results of these analyses are expected to be filed with the court and scrutinized during a hearing on chain of custody and preservation of evidence. As the case proceeds, the defense has also raised a challenge regarding the timing of the victim's death. The prosecution alleges Isaiah succumbed to his injuries on October 24, 2025, and the defense will attempt to scrutinize the precision of that date and whether causation can be legally established beyond reasonable doubt. In addition to the legal proceedings, child welfare officials are preparing internal reviews. The fact that Isaiah may not have been enrolled in the local public school system is one area under scrutiny, as is the oversight of his 3 siblings, age 16, 13, and roughly 9 months, who were removed from the home and placed into protective custody. These internal reviews may inform whether systemic failures occurred in recognizing and intervening in the family's situation. In the coming weeks, the schedule will include the defense's omnibus motion hearing, anticipated mid-November 2025, followed by the setting of a trial date, currently projected for early 2026. Each step will draw attention not only to the individual case of Isaiah, but to broader questions of child protection, accountability, and how the justice system responds when alleged abuse emerges behind closed doors. In the coming weeks, the prosecuting team representing the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office revealed its intention to present evidence not only of the charged homicide, but to show a pattern of cruelty that, as alleged, spanned months. The formal complaint states that the boy, Isaiah H. Myron, believed to be 8 years old at the time of his death, suffered repeated abuse at the hands of his mother, Destiny Luckie Harrison, 25 Juarez, his father, Daniel Alberto Monzon, 25 Juarez, and paternal grandmother Ana Carcamo Zarceno, 46 Juarez. Prosecutors say the vital window begins in April 2025, when the documented injuries started to appear more frequently, and culminated with Isaiah's death early on October 24, 2025. Investigators are preparing to call medical experts who can describe the injuries, and forensic examiners tasked with tracing how long Isaiah's body remained inside the ice-filled freezer. The freezer, as detailed in court filings, is a key crime scene artifact. Its condition and the ice accumulation therein may help establish how long the body was concealed. In parallel, they will seek to establish each defendant's level of knowledge and action. For example, the complaint alleges that Monzon and Zarceno Carcamo not only participated in the abuse, but also engaged in actions after Isaiah's death, being charged as accessories after the fact. The prosecutors have also sought to trace every contact the family had with social services, schools, and law enforcement welfare checks, in order to show that the signs were not isolated or accidental. Meanwhile, the defense began its work. Motions have been filed demanding disclosure of all forensic data, freezer maintenance logs, ice accumulation records, temperature records, surveillance tapes of the apartment complex's 3100 block of Euclid Avenue address, and all records of prior contact between the family and child welfare agencies. The defense's strategy, according to filings, will challenge the chain of custody of the freezer evidence and question whether the alleged injury timeline can be proven beyond reasonable doubt. At the same time, not formally part of the courtroom, but of equal import, child welfare auditors and community advocates in Los Angeles County are quietly examining how this tragedy could have gone unidentified for so long. Officials with the Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services and local educational agencies are reviewing whether Isaiah had ever been enrolled in the public school system, and if mandatory reporting rules were followed when he missed classes or never appeared at all. As the case enters its next phase, the narrative will shift to the selection of trial jurors, potential plea negotiations, and whether either side seeks to call live witness motions or expert testimony hearings. Every procedural step will carry the weight of public scrutiny, because this is not merely a case of child death, but one flagged by prosecutors as the death of a child under the watch of those charged to protect him. In the wake of this unimaginable tragedy, every detail now matters. Prosecutors announced that the alleged long-term abuse suffered by the young boy, identified as Isaiah H. and believed to be 8 years old at the time of his death, began as early as April 2025. They say his body, discovered at the apartment on the 3100 block of Euclid Avenue in Lynwood, California on October 28, 2025, was found inside an ice-filled cooler. The timing, the condition of the scene, and the alleged involvement of his mother, Destiny Luckie Harrison, 25, father Daniel Alberto Monzon, 25, and paternal grandmother Ana Carcamo Zarceno, 46, are central to the state's case. Law enforcement officials with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office assert that the severity of the charges, murder, torture, child abuse resulting in death, reflect a pattern of alleged sustained cruelty rather than a single act of negligence. Meanwhile, the community in Lynwood has been shaken. In the immediate aftermath, a vigil was held outside the complex, with neighbors gathering to leave toys, candles, and flowers, wondering how such suffering could be hidden so long. As this case moves toward trial, the spotlight is not only on the 3 adults now facing grave charges, but also on the larger question of how such a young life could be lost without earlier intervention and what systems failed. The upcoming trial will demand accountability, clarity, and change. If you've been following this story on the Crime Scene 24/7 channel, please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and spread the word by sharing this video with others. Your engagement helps shine a light on cases like this and keeps the conversation alive for justice.